A dynasty in motion, reshaping the sport's greatest tradition, channeling the legends of his line and surpassing them. 4 of the last 6 Derby winners carry his genes. A Golden Son, a Horse of the Year. Another chapter written beneath those iconic spires. Derby dreams fulfilled for the titans of our industry. From authentic to sovereignty, a legacy both real and supreme. Into mischief.
Hello everybody, Mike Welch coming to you from the second floor balcony here at Del Mar. You can see all the activity behind me in the paddock, and it's just a smattering of what we saw here today. Just so much action going on now that all the horses are here. What a difference a week makes. I got here last week, there was only a handful of Breeders' Cup horses on the ground, and now everybody's here getting in their final day or two of pretty much routine gallops. There were a couple of blowouts this morning, one on the turf and a couple from the gate on the main track today. But again, everybody just trying to get there healthy and happy with the Breeders' Cup. First day of Breeders' Cup races now only 24 hours away. I'm here with the Daily Racing Form, our final edition of the Daily Racing Form Breeders' Cup Workout Report, brought to you by the good folks from Spendthrift Farm. We wish them good luck here over the weekend at the Breeders' Cup. They are the home of 6-time general champion sire Into Mischief, and they have several runners represented in this year's Breeders' Cup, not the least of which is the juvenile favorite, Ted Nafi. Just too many things going on today to report on them all. I'm just going to give you some impressions. Some of the horses that caught my eye here training this morning. Again, a lot of the action was in the dark from 5:30 to almost 6:45. We did have a turf training session, a very busy one. I'll talk about that as well, and then we'll wrap it up with a little recap of some of my impressions of some of the horses I've seen and some of the works some of my colleagues have seen from this year's Breeders' Cup Classic. Again, some of the horses that caught my eye early this morning started with Tamara, going to be one of the favorites in the filly and mare sprint. A ton of energy galloping through the stretch. I kind of lost her as she went back into the darkness, but she looked good coming by. Lovesick Blues is a handful tomorrow. He's going to be in the sprint. A couple of sprint horses I wanted to mention. Bernardo has looked great here all week. I did not see any of his workouts. He's just been jogging and galloping since he's got here. But he and his Breeders' Cup stablemate She's So Spicy go out early in the morning, and I thought both of them made a good impression today. Also for the sprint, just some comments. Straight No Chaser was also a handful today, dragging his rider around, wanting to do more. He looks like he's coming up to his defense of his title of the sprint in as good form as he was coming into it to his victory here last year. And Patriotic Spirit, first real look I got at him today. He was in runoff mode. He broke away from the pony in front of the near the wire, and was kind of hard to handle then. And then he came by the second time and was just pulling the rider. Luckily, he was able to get him pulled up. I actually had a watch on him going into and around the turn. It was not a blowout or a breeze of any kind, but he was in runoff mood today. For the distaff, I like what I saw from Jinjin today. First real good look I got at her. She was strong coming by the wire. She was galloping behind Journalism, who nobody's made a better impression physically. Every morning, Journalism just looked just so great here. Same way he was before the Derby. We mentioned him. He was sort of like the looker before the Derby, along with Sovereignty. And the same case here. Every morning, Journalism has just been terrific. His stablemate, Formidable Man, who's going to run in the mile, I thought he looked good too, right behind Journalism as well in their pre-dawn gallop. Scylla was under a stout hold today. She worked very fast here the other day. I thought she looked great in her work, and she seemingly has bounced out of that work in good form. I like what I saw of Scylla today. And Stellify, 2 days in a row, powerful gallops, tons of energy as she prepares for the filly and mare turf. Now the turf course opened at 7:15. Again, about a dozen or so horses out on the track. We had one recorded work. John Quill was allowed to really stretch his legs coming down the lane and going into the turn. 26 and change, I think, an official work from the clockers, but he continued out even better than that on the turn. So I thought that was a good move today from Jonquil. Royal Testament was the only U.S. horse that I saw out on the track today, out there for George Weaver, preparing for the Juvenile Turf Sprint. And then we had the Charlie Appleby, half a dozen Breeders' Cup horses of his. Again, all of them pretty much in single file, going at a good clip, most of them 2-minute licking. Rebels Romance at the head of the class, at the head of the group. Again, having another terrific morning. They kind of eased him down at the end. He started out at a pretty fast pace, but they were easing him into the wire at the end. Of that group, though, I thought El Cordobis looked the best today. He, like Rebels Romance, is going to run in the turf. He was really full of run today. He, too, I could have put a watch on him and probably timed him quarter mile, 3/8 of a mile from the 8th pole into and around the turn. He was really strong today. He was at the rear of the pack of the Charlie Applebys, but probably the best of the bunch today. The one member of that group I wasn't crazy about was Notable Speech. He just didn't seem as fluid coming to the wire as some of the others, but that just may be him. Again, I don't get to see those horses train all that often. After the renovation break, some horses I caught my eye for the Distax, as usual. Seismic Beauty, looking terrific. Just a beast of a filly, and she was 2-minute licking at the last probably half a mile of her gallop this morning, as she had tons of energy today. Also, from the gate, trainer Andrew Balding actually broke two of his Breeders' Cup starters, Kirat and Amalak. They broke out of the gate and they ran through the wire and into the turn. I had a watch on them only for the last part of it, maybe 24 and change, wire out around the turn, but they actually blew out. Not an official work, but they look good coming out of the gate. They both broke well too, which is a good sign for those two. One horse that I really think might be flying under the radar, I mentioned this filly the other day, is the Japanese horse Switch and Love, who's going to run in the Juvenile Fillies Turf. A sneaky good work the other day, the way she finished and galloped out around the turn, and then she came back today with another strong gallop just 2 days after that work. So keep an eye on Switch and Love. You're looking for a price horse in the Juvenile Fillies Turf. Now I'm just going to talk briefly about the Classic. Again, most of these Breeders' Cup horses were not here for their final works. The ones that were, the ones that I've seen were Journalism, who just reiterate, has just looked great every single day I've seen him here, and his final work with Jose Ortiz aboard was terrific. It was a maintenance 5/8 of a mile, and then a gallop out 141 and change for a full mile. So Journalism couldn't be doing any better. His nemesis, Sovereignty, is out of the race. That will enhance his chances somewhat. Can he beat the older horses? He's got a rematch with Fierceness coming up, having run second to him here in the Pacific Classic. But again, just as he was going into the Derby, Journalism couldn't be doing any better. The other final work of a Breeders' Cup horse I actually saw in person here was Forever Young. He's trained steadily, not the flashiest horse when he gallops in the morning, but he gets a lot out of his gallops and jogs, spends a lot of time on the racetrack, as do most of the Japanese horses, and I thought he looked fine in a maintenance half mile here just a couple of days ago. From out of town, from my reports from my colleagues that you can get on the Clocker Report, which is now available. The Friday report is available. Saturday one will be available this afternoon. Fierceness's last work was excellent. He was in company with Antiquarian, who's also in the Classic, and according to colleague Dave Grenning, Fierceness was the best of that team. So Fierceness coming back here to the site of his most recent start, his victory in the Pacific Classic, appears to be coming into the race very well. Sierra Leone, from reports of his final, actually from his last few works at Saratoga, all of them been excellent. The last one, huge gallop out at the end of it, and a thumbs up for Sierra Leone. From what I've seen of him here, he's had good days every morning, just routine gallops. All the Chad Brown horses, like I've said in the past, they all gallop pretty strong on a regular basis, and he's looked good every single day. So that's a kind of a summation of some of the stuff I've seen here. Again, the Clocker Reports will be available, a lot more information there, not only on the Breeders' Cup races, but the undercard races as well, from a lot of info from my colleague Toby Terrell, who's here at Santa Anita all year round. So take a look at that. I want to thank my producer and camera woman, Lucia Gambuza, without whom these videos would not be possible. So give a shout out for Lucia. If you see her around the grandstand, she's the hardest working DRF person here, except maybe for Dave Grenning. I got to give Dave Grenning the thumbs up there. But all the gang has put in terrific coverage of this. So Like I've said all along, for the best coverage in breed, I want to say I hope you got some useful information out of these videos over the past week. We try to enhance your Breeders' Cup experience at DRF, and this is just part of it. And like I've been saying all along, for the best coverage of Breeders' Cup 2025 anywhere, keep it right here, right through the weekend at DRF.com.